So, Mangalacharan is definitely that we remember the real self. So, even if we remember the great masters who have contributed to the journey of the Eastern wisdom, is also doing the same Mangalacharan. So, the goal is to make our intellect very subtle. One, to complete the journey without any struggle. Mind always keeps one idea of failure that should go. So, this mind should rise in consciousness by understanding the stories, the real life stories, or metaphor or a parable. They are simply models. We have to do, our goal is to find the real self. So, these are the different models. And not only to make the mind subtle, the intellect subtle, so that we rise in consciousness. Look at the Shankaracharya, 37 years old, when he lived in the 8th century. That is also okay. So our mind says, we are also living in this century. What a big deal. Now see that, how I'm presenting to infuse that Mangalacharan. There was no electricity. What it has to do with me? There was no printing press. Now your mind is thinking what he wants to say. You see, that is how our perception changes about people, things, event, and relationship. No pen, no discovery of the pen in the 8th century. Science was not there. It's just there about 200, 250 years. He has written 200 books. At the same time, he was traveling throughout the India. He was teaching hundreds of people. He was debating with the Buddhist monks pertaining to the nothingness. 200 books, no printing press. How he could do that? So those people who are not seekers, they say, oh, he must have some powers. If he is a human being, you are also a human being. Is there any difference? No. What it means? Can I also have it? Those mystical powers. The master says to the highest seeker, don't talk about mysticism. Consciousness is the ultimate power. Allow that consciousness to reveal itself, to illumine itself. You don't say the sun is the greatest power. Sun is so normal, it gives light to each and every corner, each and every object, each and every person in this world. Does the sun has a mystical power? No. When we recognize and realize that real self or pure consciousness as I am, it uses the mind, body, intellect, and the ego. So, writing a book takes, if a person takes 5 or 6 months to write 500 pages book, Shankaracharya wrote in one day. It's a revelation. Mind was a perfect instrument, body was a perfect instrument. When they are the perfect instrument of the consciousness, it is easy. And he wrote everything in the verse form. Every verse or a shloka means that you have, it's a zip folder. It contains hundreds of files. And he wrote 500 books. The other way also works. You are using the mind and intellect in modern time, I never hired you have to, what they say, you have to hire an agent, there is some word, it is there, book agent or something, literary agent, and then you give your synopsis. The literary agent says that now I will promote it, I will charge you $10,000. The book is yet to be published, book is yet to be written. Promotion has started. What the author will write, we don't know. And then you write, and then the guy, this literary agent who reads the book, and he says, no, you have to change this. He does not know anything about the subject matter. He says, if you change this, then your number of books will be sold much higher. What I'm doing. So what happens, the Mangala Charan also helps us to point out to that state, that consciousness. What do you see? So our mind simply answers that I see you. And background, white background. Can you see me in the absence of light? No. So why don't you store me? Why don't you say that you see the light and you? Lack of awareness. Without the presence of the light, you cannot see me, I cannot see you. Background is what, whether you have a t-shirt or whatever you are wearing, whatever you are, that is secondary. We make it primary. That is the job of the mind, and that causes the impurity. So, oh, we need to practice. No, you need not to practice. It is evident. In the presence of the light, in the presence of, now, this is a metaphor. In the presence of the consciousness, I think and I speak and I act, and I recognize my body and mind and intellect and the ego and the thoughts and the business, money, etc. What I see is the false. What I see is the false. When I see the false, oh, I see your age and group, and we have been the friends, and I already know what is good and the bad points and weaknesses. Mind continues to work in that area. That is why we have a Mangala Charan. We have a Mangala Charan plus the four connections. What are the Mangala Charan? I remember that real self, but cannot be known by the mind and the speech. So I know that real self in the Shankaracharya who has written 500 books when there was no electricity. Now come to the point. Sir, I exist because of that existence, and I am ignoring that. So when I ignore it, is because of ignorance. I ignore means ignorance. So I give more importance to this individual, which is a personality, which is made up of body, breath, mind, intellect, ego, with I thought, that exists because of their existence, and I claim individual is real. So I have to suffer. Individual is limited. The mind is limited, body is limited, intellect is limited. So the Mangala Charan is very important. I remind mind what you are saying is half the truth. The real truth lies somewhere. We have to just think like this. My master used to say that at least for a couple of weeks, you keep on thinking in line with what I'm saying to you. Don't believe it, but just think. Why? Because my mental thinking must change. The very thinking is the product of knowledge, I told you before. Thought means object plus consciousness. We ignore consciousness, we see object. Look at this person, he inserted me. That is an object. Come on. That's going to purify the mind instantly. Mangalacharan. Creating an auspicious moment. In the presence of the consciousness, one is insulting me, one is appreciating me, one is praising me. Everything is happening. But I'm consciousness. So I don't take your insult and your praise and your appreciation. Last session, someone said, wonderful session. It is objective. Wonderful session is an object plus consciousness. So instantly, that mind recognized, and I had a big laugh. Thank you very much. Go on appreciating me. What difference it makes. Mangalacharya. So those who start the journey, so normally people start, okay, say Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara. Guru is Brahma, Guru is Vishnu, Guru is Shiva, and also the Supreme Consciousness. That is why I bow down, I respect, so respect and adoration means that you don't see the physical body, the mind and intellect. No. To so help the very person to become a seeker. So there the master says that do you have a faith? You should have a more faith in the Guru than the God. Because at least you see the Guru in front. So it's nothing to do with the ego. But people misunderstand it. And they keep on doing it. They keep on bowing down. They keep on touching the feet. My master used to say that don't touch my feet, my feet are naked, it may have some virus. He is pointing to that. It does not mean, it's a different thing we touch. But we have to become aware what we are doing. You don't touch the feet, but internally you are full of love and care and respect for the teacher. And you see the teacher as knowledge. Why? How? I already answered it. No. How you answered it? I see you. No, I see you in the presence of the light. That light of consciousness is the knowledge. That is the tradition. So why don't we make people understand? And from the very beginning, they will never understand. They are blind. They are living full of ignorance. Their mind is wholly dependent on the world outside, so they also depend on the God outside. We cannot do anything. They will oppose you. Oh, you are helping me going against the religion? I love Jesus, I love Krishna. They will never understand it. So Krishna says, don't interfere. Check their level. Follow that. Don't destroy their faith. At least they believe in, they don't know a kind of a God present outside their world. So that, even people say God fearing. Okay, that helps. Remain God fearing. So I attack those people who are on the verge of becoming a seeker, but I don't say anything to those people who just they say for the sake of saying, yes, they are God fearing. I am more God fearing than you. We support them. At least they are God fearing. They will not commit any kind of violence. It has nothing to do with the spiritual life. You believe in God, you don't believe in God, it has nothing to do with the spirituality. And that is why you see billions of people. If you look at from that perspective, billions of people have now seems to have more faith in the religion than 50 years ago. Goal? What is the goal? Get rid of my disease, get rid of, give me more money, let me have a good soulmate. So the masters are pointing, this is the ignorance, my friend, my dear. Understand that. You remove all this ignorance, even the thought process, and you wake up in the morning much more fresh. I depend on you for certain thing. My mind goes too far from me, real self, outside. The moment my mind moves outside, it builds up a relationship, events, and incidents at a particular time, so the mind gets confused. That is the confusion of the mind. We have to remove it. Why Mangalacharan is important? Look at it, the way the masters are, and perhaps I could see, I cannot reach to their intellect, the way they reveal the knowledge, but we could imagine the way these masters have worked, or their revelation, their knowledge that they passed on. They have accepted everything. That is the great message, that let me have a total acceptance of what I have, what I possess, what I am first, so that I can point out to the real self, the consciousness, and then do everything. Whatever you should have been doing. Not do everything means that, doing business and doing living and whatever you want. First part of the Mangalacharan. You have to think in that way. Because our mind is still thinking in an habitual and a mechanical way. That is why we have complication. Yeah. That we have to get rid of it. So if you don't get rid of, then the mind will return again. What will happen? Nothing is going to happen. And whatever has to happen will definitely happen. At an individual level, I do not have control over the world. So what should I do? Live my life consciously. Live my life with reference to the light, not what object is present in the light. I have to live my life not with reference to the world outside, but with reference to the consciousness. And this mind has totally absorbed into Mangala Charan all the time. Don't you think that I have that feeling that I'm still, you come to me because of Mangala Charan, not because of me. So I destroyed that individual. I destroyed that individual. Why? It does not exist. No, no, no. It is exist. Body, mind, intellect. Do you see the mirage water exist when you are too far? Yes. Approach near. Go near. Now you are hardly 5 meters away. Oh, where is the mirage water gone? It's not there. You're too far from your individual self. Approach near. Approach near. Ah, individual self does not exist. Ego does not exist. What is left? Real self. What exists will continue to exist. What is non existence will continue to appear to exist, but it does not. That is the meaning of the false. So the false does not, it does not exist. But consciousness cannot express itself without this individual self. Consciousness needs any expression? No. So the false has to be negated here, but the false will continue to exist with the consciousness. That is our personal, professional, social, and family life. You are in front of the honey, so you are soulmate, or how good you are, how wonderful. Finished. Now you are in front of the daughter, your role has changed. Now you are in a workplace, you are the CEO of the company, your role has changed. Now look back in the evening, you looked like a boss that disappeared. You looked like a honey that disappeared. You looked like a father that disappeared. It has to happen because of the presence of the individual. Consciousness expresses as an individual, then individual plays the role, and that is all. Let us do it. I will speak for an hour, then after that it is gone. It is gone. One very important point. I was giving just practice of meditation just now before this session. That light, that consciousness, as a knower, as the witness, was present when I said, be comfortable. So, how I explain being comfortable? That witness consciousness, one witness consciousness, or simply say knower. Knower knows what it knows, neck joint. Now the knower knows sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Now the knower knows space. Now the knower knows space is awareness and awareness is space. I gave that practice to you last time. That knower is the witness consciousness. Remain the same. My experience changes, my objects changes, my thought changes, but the knower remained one. Then I say, breathe fast. So now knower remains the same. Object changes, step changes, practice changes. But if you say that object experiences are me, then you will have a conflict and confusion. That is why the master says in the topic 1. So we will hurry. Respect and regard real self and the supreme self are the one. So why should I remember anyone outside me? I should remember myself. How to define the real self? We have defined in eight steps. What are the benefits of defining the Supreme Self in 8 attributes so that I can see this light? I will never forget that. Who are you? So, first I remember in the presence of that consciousness, I know your name and the form. That is why I should know. This is the benefit. Now, the mind is going to change its impurity to the purity. It can happen instantly. He is crazy in front of the consciousness. Who am I? I am consciousness. So, the craziness, idea of the craziness is gone. It's gone. If it is in gone in your relationship at all the time, in all the locations, what is going to happen? Think. That is the benefit. Not only the benefit, you are already have started living in mindfulness. And then, lot of questions rejecting why you are rejecting the tradition is not appropriate. Says the seeker is asking the question, rejecting the tradition. Now I have to go a little deeper. What is this tradition? And to whom it is meant for? If the tiger is attacking me and I have a pistol, I will practice non-violence if I kill the tiger. Simple, simple logic. I'm committing non-violence to myself because if I'm not alive, who will practice non-violence? But to kill because of jealousy and hatred is committing sin. Now go back. Who commits the sin? It is lives in the mind. So I have a wrong perception about you that you are an enemy. I am jealous about you. You have a lot of money I don't have, etc. etc. But what I have forgotten, the consciousness behind it. I paid more attention to the object. As long as I pay more attention to the object, the impurity will remain. So, with that understanding, rejecting the tradition is not appropriate. Okay, that is for you. Thank you. But he answered that I am remembering the highest reality. Byproduct is the traditional value. It is meant for those who do not understand, who have not become a seeker. Why not remember even the Ishwar, the innermost self, because of relative reality? You are an individual but claim you are an absolute reality. So the seeker's mind is confused. We have to remove that confusion. We have to remove that complication. Now, you see, that is how you evolve. When you ask the question, obviously you feel something down or up. That is where we evolve. So follow discipline outside, but inside I know who I am. I will never forget. And then 12 and 13 topics, why to study the text. And we have already understood that why to study this text, that we have already understood that he has done such a beautiful research. And so he is talking about in another how many topics? If I see that, let me see. So he added, how many from topic number 14 to 31st. He says that now I will explain about general understanding of four connections and fourfold practices. Four connections and fourfold practices. That is, but we should not forget in the light of what is the light? Three main objections and problems in knowing the real self. The first is a seeker does not know the real self directly but indirectly. Now I don't see the light indirectly.
Yes, I can see light only indirectly.
Now we are,
Only reflected light.
because you, I see your brightness, a boundary of your body in the presence of the light. And that I forget. So, unqualified mind cannot know the real self. Who is unqualified? Who focuses on the object. Now, see, we are answering that every doubt. We, okay, yes, yes. So, what happens to qualified mind? It illumines the real self. Now, see, answer that. You get an answer. Illumines the real self. You see the honey, no doubt, no problem. Look the honey. But consciousness, qualified mind, see, there is a perception of the. You go to the mother, yes, mom, I love you. Yes, that's okay. But ultimately, I'm living into that. It will not happen in the beginning, but as we continue, it may happen in the. So that is why the master says, every master talks about Mangalacharan, creating an auspicious moment. When you create an auspicious moment here with one person, your mind will like to create the same in all the relationship at all the time. That is important. That will help your mind to remind you, recall you that what the mind can know the real self indirectly. Qualified mind with qualified mind will illumine the real self. No, I have understood it, but why it doesn't happen? Because mind jumps again to the same word. Oh, look at this girl. What a beauty. That is the beauty of consciousness in the matter. Look at it. Do you see? Qualified mind. Miss Universe, okay. Most beautiful women, okay. Beauty is the sign of consciousness. Beauty is never destroyed. The matter is destroyed. That Miss Universe, when she will become 90 years, then I bring her back to me. I will show you where the beauty lies. That is the beauty of the journey. That is why we will also understand what is Shravan Manan now totally in a different way. I will reject everything that I have discussed. We will return to a higher level. So basically, those challenges comes again and again. So we should have that Mangala Charan, and we relate that Mangala Charan with the three statements coming from the masters: qualified mind, mind illumines, and knows indirectly. Instantly, I become aware that I is nothing but awareness. Now, this I is not an individual. That is why we are talking of qualified and unqualified. Are you getting it? That I is not an individual I now. Or you can, in the beginning, you can say it is a ripe I.
Logically, I can see that I don't need the ego or I because everything happened because the real self.
I love it. So when you see it, you are knowing that I indirectly. but still with reference to the world outside. And the final journey takes place when I know because of myself. Sun, light, illumines also the sun. Consciousness knows the consciousness by itself, it does not need any help. Are we pointing that is the way you are talking of indirectly? Yeah, just keep that in mind. We will talk about it. What should we do? So the question comes, what should we do before the fourfold practices? First is definitely the Mangalacharan. Keep on listening and learning, listening and learning. What happens listening and learning? Simple, logical. You're listening and learning, the mind will continue to rise in awareness. Rise in awareness will lead you to detachment. Detachment lead you to dispassion. Dispassion leads you to steadiness of the mind. Steadiness of the mind results in awakening. Simple path. So, by listening and learning, I will get to the knowledge. Knowledge cannot change. You know that? Yes, knowledge cannot change. Knowledge remains the same. But one way of getting the knowledge of nearby objects through my sense organs. That is one type of knowledge. Another type of the knowledge we receive of far off objects, Mars and the moons. We conclude, we calculate the distance, how much is the distance, we apply the formula in physics, and ultimately we find out. But the real self, you cannot say how near it is. Near and the far off, we have solved the problem. That's what the science is doing, physics is doing, and let them do it. But I want to know the real self. There is no distance in the time, so I have to employ another method. That method is explained in the Eastern wisdom. That is why we say knowing the real self is realization. That is why we say knowing the real self is awakening. In science, we say discovery, invention. Yeah, they are good. We agree with it. We have 100% agreement what the science is doing. We want to know subjective reality. They want to know objective reality. For knowing the objective reality, they have to apply the method of very near sense observation, conclusion by the mind, too far. We still the senses perceive that sun is too far. Now I have to find out how far. That has to be calculated by the mind. By applying the principle, formula, whatever you say, meters or miles or kilometers, no issue. We have no issue. Science have lot of issues. We don't have any issue. This is the beauty. Science challenges without understanding, but we do not change. So the master, our master answers, you have to be little wise. You don't need a higher IQ. First, you have to understand how you get the knowledge which is very near to your eyes. How you get the knowledge which is too far from your eyes. You see the people 6 feet person from 5 miles away, you see as a dot. So if you believe that the sense observation is the truth, then that person is a dot. Such a, the more we speak and every clarity starts pouring into our mind. So he says, just be wise. Sense organs cannot see very near, cannot see far off. So that is the greatest defect. The same thing with all the sense organs. Same thing with every. I cannot hear too far sound. I cannot hear too near sound. Too near. So, do you recognize the defects of these sense organs, the limitations? So, when I recognize and realize the defects, I have also to take into account. And because they have a defects, neither the sense organs nor the mind can really know, realize real self. They can help us in discovering. How? By purifying the mind, by removing the defects. So the topic number 14 comes, and other topics will be resolved very fast. Topic 14, he says, Anubandha Chatushtaya, four connections. Mind is already living in ignorance. It returns again to the ignorance by habit, by impulse. So give the mind the maximum benefit. What is the maximum benefit? End of all suffering. And another result, permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom, which is a fact in the Eastern wisdom. Oh, so you bring an end to the suffering once and for all? Yes. What should I do? Are you qualified? Second question. So you are a person, you're asking question out of curiosity, but reorient your mind, prepare yourself, become a qualified seeker. And do you know what is the subject matter? No, you told me that you will give me permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. Yes, I said so. I am ready to be a qualified seeker. Hold on, what is your subject matter? No, subject matter is permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. The master says the subject matter is that you are permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. You don't know it. We have to remove the ignorance and we have to get out. First it appears that permanent peace, happiness, as if it is an object. To end suffering, it is okay. You are peace. So don't start searching, don't start asking me any question that where happiness is located. You are peace and happiness. I don't know. I don't believe. We will remove both the problems in the mind. You are living in ignorance. That is why you don't know it. I gave you a simple example, light. Because in the presence of the light, I see you. So your focus is only on the objects. So we have to connect. We have to connect with the wisdom. What you have to do nothing. You have to contemplate and reflect. The moment the mind is running after peace and happiness, this mind, my master used to say, I think I gave you that, many a times. I told, oh mind, be at peace. This will also pass. But peace will continue. Happiness continue. Where it is, you are. Those masters, they are of extraordinary, we can say, ability, but it is all about revelation. Oh mind, be at peace, this will also pass. I contemplated, reflected for years and years, and I said, my goodness, one phrase gives me everything. Why indirectly? Because it never says you are peace. You have to realize you are peace. So now, based on that, so the master says that, did you understand? Yes, I have. I'm understanding. So it means a person is a qualified seeker when he has no impurities and distraction, or simply say restlessness. But how it is possible? We have to do 4-4 practice. You see, a Mangalacharan connected to four connections connected to 4-4. Then Master adds another issue that since birth we live in ignorance. I was born from the womb of the mother. I don't know who am I. I'm living in ignorance. So don't ask me unnecessary questions. The master is saying, I'm just talking about that master. You can ask it. The master is saying, don't ask me unnecessary questions. Ignorance is beginningless. Don't ask me from where it has come. We will talk about it. But first understand it is beginningless. Is it endless? No. You remove the ignorance, you get the knowledge. It is beginningless. No beginning. Because you can remove the ignorance. But why? Whatever in the world that exists at second time, you can remove it, that is false. Ignorance is also false. Your anger is false, your stress is false. You claim that you are a soulmate. Are you getting it? Ignorance is beginningless and it comes to an end once the knowledge is realized. So the ignorance changes its status. Because anything that changes its status is false. And what is real self? It is all pervading, it is constant, it never changes. We have already defined it. But why we brought this topic? Ignorance causes the impurities. To become a qualified seeker, we have to remove the impurities in this. That is why we brought this topic. Ignorance, thinking, speaking, and acting for something outside for my peace and happiness is ignorance. So, because I am thinking, speaking for something outside me, in order to achieve that, I have to make an effort to do. So then I start working, earning some money, 1 million. I'm not happy. Second million, I have to work hard. Now I'm 90 years old and I have to still to work for another million. And that creates the cycle of the birth and the death. I will talk about in detail later. But that is the journey. So then Rajoguna also comes, it prompts me to act. I fall into Tamoguna, all those things comes up here. That we will talk in detail when we come up to that topic. So what happens due to these activities in the mind of Rajoguna and Tamoguna? They put me into the cycle of birth and the death, which is known as the samsara. But when I introduce the satoguna pertains to the knowledge. That is what we are learning. What you need to practice, you need not to practice. For the highest seeker, one need not to practice. One has to do the shravanam. Do you see the entire logic? Why I put the logic? Because there should not be any doubt in the mind. Because if you have a doubt, then there will be a lot of challenge. What is the goal of meditation? It reveals the knowledge. What we are doing, we are want to reveal that knowledge. Mangalacharan, four connections, fourfold practices. Fourfold practices, it purifies the mind. It gives us a new perception. That guy is crazy. That I am jealous about him. So that idea in the mind has changed the entire perception of my life. So if I'm jealous of one person, I will definitely be jealous from the other person. So the impurities will continue to remain. That delusion will continue to remain. Individuality will continue to remain. So that is why we have to be very clear about the four connections and fourfold practice. So some people take four connections. So the master says complete end of suffering. So one kind of a person is curious person, oh, and they start arguing with it. Master has yet to complete to clear the subject matter that you will come there will be a permanent happiness because you are happiness. So for a lower level of a seeker, they don't digest this. They hear it. Teachers are saying this. So it is because of the obstacles in the mind. The mind is not able to digest it, that you are happiness. So they should ask what exactly is happiness? What exactly you are talking about peace? So that the journey continues. That is why we need a fourfold practices to purify the mind. Teacher is like a broker. It connects the knowledge. Connects the knowledge that you can say is a seller to a buyer who is a seeker.
But for connections, the subject matter is the real self, result is the end of suffering or happiness,
Yeah.
and instrument is Eastern wisdom.
No. These three. Yeah. You're right. Instrument is the Eastern wisdom. So subject matter is who am I? Seeker, qualified seeker is the first, and third is the end result. Now I have to play with these three factors in my mind and connect qualified seeker with the subject matter, qualified seeker with the result, and subject matter with the result. So I should have a very clear picture. Who am I? When I know it, that is the subject matter, will bring an end to this suffering and will help me realize permanent peace and happiness, how they are related. And who is going to teach? That is the first connection. Who is going to pass on the knowledge? So I connect the qualified seeker with the subject matter. So from where I get the knowledge of the subject matter? From the teacher and the text. From the teacher and the text. So because I am not able to, my mind is not able to relate the subject matter with the result. Subject matter, who am I? And result says permanent peace and happiness, but it forgets I am peace and happiness. And then it perceives end of result as if I will get rid of all the problems of the body, let me keep on eating all the kind of junk food. Because when I know who am I, even if I take entire bottle of vodka, I will remain conscious. So you see the wrong notions? Wrong notions. Many people say and it happens. I tell you, it happens. Many people have tried that, it is the highest state of the consciousness, so let me start taking it. Let me drink it. I have taken one pack, set two pack, three pack. I am still able to maintain that consciousness for so there are people, there are masters who have done this. They continue to live. It affects their body and the mind, but they are still in that level. We are not going there. We don't want to demonstrate these powers. First, we have our goal is to realize that. Once we realize, then what happens in the future, it's a different thing. So that is why the Anuban Chatustaya is so important. So that clarity should be there about the four connections. That I am the peace and happiness. It also means that if I am the peace, what is the distance and the time I need to cover to find myself? No distance, no time. It means no practice. Again, applicable to the highest level of a seeker. Again, complete depends on the highest level of a seeker. 15. Journal understanding. Four connections. Though that is the. So we will understand. So what happens? This master uh, is the craziest. He defines who is a seeker. He gives the definition. Then he tells you the characteristics. Then he says what prevents one to become a seeker. That is the topic 15. We will go to the topic 15 later, and then yes, karma, yes, he explains in detail. That is the first 15, and after that, other topics. Other then he comes to sadhan chatushtaya, 16th topic. 16th topic in journal, and the 17th topic he again he defines what is viveka in his own way, in a very simple and general way. What is viveka, what is vairagya? So that will not take enough time to understand. So where we should stop? We should stop at the topic number 15. Topic number 14 we have covered, and topic 15 today is 15th. So think of it, contemplate and reflect. And once you listen to it, you can easily keep in your head, and wherever you are